Hey guys, Lee here. Great class today for those who showed up. The kids had a great class today, good turnouts, and we continued along with the guard passing series. And I was happy to, my hair is doing so many stuff. I was happy to see that a lot of the kids were retaining a lot of the concepts of what we were doing in the previous weeks. So that was really cool to see. And today they did really well in terms of moving along those four guard passes that we were looking at. So I was quite happy with the class today. And then we had some fun with sumo and Shark Tank. So I was very happy with that class. Now, I'm going to jump into a quick PSA, mostly about the kids, but it's something also that occurs within adults too, time to time. So, so let me preface it by saying that it's something that is not unique to Oracle. It's not even unique to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's quite often something that happens with individuals in any sport, especially when there's competition and a competitive drive to win. Okay, so what I'm talking about essentially is when someone gets hurt, sometimes it's a consequence of two individuals who have quote unquote consensually agreed to go hard. Okay, they may not have explicitly said those words, but it's like an escalation battle. One person goes hard, and the next person goes harder, and the next person goes harder, and then it's like mutual nuclear destruction type of thing. I try to catch that off. Of course, as a coach, I don't allow anything to get out of hand in any class, adults or kids, and they can get out of hand, and I've seen it in the past, and we've worked it through based on the individuals and whatnot. But in today's class, one of the little kids got injured in an arm bar. I didn't see it. The other guys didn't see it. None of the parents saw it. I hadn't briefly talked to the individuals, but I will talk to the both sides of the situation, the kids and the parents, and of course, there's going to be different takes on it. But at the end of the day, what I want to do is make 2 points clear. One is that we should always be competing and fighting to the point where the potentiality of hurting an individual arises, but we don't actually hurt them, right? So we take them to that very edge. You probably heard me say this countless times in other videos or in beginning of classes, that we take people to the very edge of injury, but we let them off via a tap, right? So that's what's the beauty of the gentle art, is that we have this amazing privilege to be able to take individuals into deep water and allow them to have that looming threat, and then the individual taps, right? So having said that, I know a lot of the kids sometimes are still working out the mechanics of tapping early, knowing how to tap. Some of the kids still don't know how to tap verbally, physically. And on the flip side, some kids don't know when to release the tap, even though the other child is tapped. I've seen that many times, and it's frustrating, right? I've seen it, and I think most of the time it's accidental, that the child doing the submission technique is just not paying attention enough and not being aware enough. And I've said this many times to the kids, that you have to be aware of what you are doing to your partner. You have to be aware when they are tapping. On the flip side, when you're the one tapping, you have to make sure you're very, very, very explicit in physically tapping the other person's body part and saying the words tap. There's no shame in saying tap and physically tapping. In fact, most adults do that because adults go really hard and they take it right to the very, very, very edge. And so no one wants to get injured, so that's what they do, right? So that's what I'm telling the kids is tap fast, tap often, and you being the submitter have to pay attention and take it to the edge and let it go, right? We never want to injure people. In fact, my rule of thumb is I take them to the edge, and even if I don't get a tap, I still don't go past and beyond that point where they're going to get hurt, because what's the point, right? I know I can injure someone, I know I can break the arm or whatever, but if they're not tapping, there's no point in going any further. So that's something that is developed over time through common sense, right? And children being children, not that it's an excuse for injury of other individuals, but they're still learning this, right? So going back to the original point, um, have a chat with your child. Have that discussion about, whether or not, and I know it's not all the kids, whether or not, is your child one of those children that tends to go hard? And there are some of them, and that's not a bad thing. But if the child does go hard, have that conversation, crucial conversation that basically tells them that you have to be mindful of the tap and let go of the submission regardless. You don't want to hurt the individual ever, okay? This is not a competition. This is not a tournament. You're not at IBJJF Worlds, okay, or any of those things. I understand if you're at one of those things, you're going to go hard and you're going to go to the point where if they don't tap, you may injure them. That's what happens at tournaments, right? At a higher age and belt, right? But here we don't do that. Okay, so have a chat with your child and have that conversation with them that they must release submissions regardless of anything, even if they're going hard with the other individual. Okay, so that's all I wanted to say, guys. Let's keep it safe. Let's have fun. There's no need for any injuries. Okay, it is a very tough sport. It's one of the toughest sports out there, if you're not already aware. But we all know that with that, our kids become tougher, right? So they're learning a great skill, and they're going to get stronger and harder and more resilient because of it. But let's try to keep the injuries down. Okay, guys? Thanks for listening, and I'll have a similar conversation with the kids in the next class. Have a good night.